Hi, I want to show you something very cool that I built with Adobe Primetime. This is related to mobile live ad insertion. Really, ad insertion in this case where someone presses a red button and ads are being inserted by an operator. So it's really meant for things like live events or really content where you can predict where the ad breaks are. For a linear, there would be a different setup. But for really live events, this shows you what you can do and take advantage of an existing environment that you might already have set up for a Flash-based workflow. So first of all, I think it's important to understand what are those Flash-based workflows. So as an example, what is very popular today is you sending in a live stream with RTMP, and then the encoder or Adobe Media Server between the encoder and CDN injects RTMP at cue points to trigger ads to the client. And then the client recognizes those cue points and does some dual player approach to overlay ads. It's not the best approach on the client side. It is not the smoothest approach, but it's something that's very popular. So I want to show you how you can use Adobe Primetime, take advantage of those existing workflows, and then translate those over to a workflow for mobile devices as well. So you can take advantage, they can take exactly the same setup and run dynamic ads on mobile as well. So this is the Flash Media Live encoder, and it's streaming to Adobe Media Server. This is FMLE in this case. It can be any kind of encoder. The key here is there's nothing required on the encoding side specific to advertising. This is just a generic encoder. And so it's sending the stream to Adobe Media Server. Here's the Adobe Media Server administration console. What you see is I'm running an application here that does some things. You see there's a couple of errors here, but they're not really relevant in this case. And so this relay application does two things. For once, it is receiving the stream from FMLE and it's sending it out to the Adobe Primetime Packager and the Adobe Primetime Origin. And then the Origin is creating HDS and HLS from that RTMP source. But the other thing, and that's the most important functionality here, is it is responsible for injecting the ad cue points. So this application receives commands from a Flash application that is a very simple big red button application that I wrote. It is not something that you can write, maybe something that you already wrote. It's really a very common technique. It's been out for many years. I wrote a definite article about this a while back. So this is not a new approach. But what it does, if you look at the code, it connects to the server, and then it also sends a command in that indicates a splice. So what it does is, if you're here really running this application, what you'll see there is a live stream here. It's the preview coming from Adobe Media Store with a very low latency, so you really see what's happening right now. And now you see, based on those visuals here, is when you want to inject an ad break. And again, this would probably be a sporting event or something similar. This wouldn't be necessarily a movie where you know where the ad breaks are. But yeah, again, this is sort of a simulated live stream. So now I have this ad break here. I want to inject a 30-second ad break. So I'm sending it out. Let's remember where the scene is approximately. And now this is the player here. This is the Adobe Primetime player on the desktop. And you'll see at some point, once you approximately reach that point, you'll see the ad break. This is important. This is not frame accurate. If you want to do it frame accurate, you have to do it on the encoder because you have to set the proper keyframes. This is approximately the ad break, but in a lot of cases, the approximate location is sufficient. So there we go. There's the advertisement. So it was pretty good right on location. And this is HDS now. So this is not the RTMP stream anymore. This is the HDS output here from the Primetime Packager. And what you'll see, it is really seamless. There is no overlay. There's no buffering in between. It is really stitched. So it's a stitching technology that you can deploy fairly easily. And what you'll see is after the ad break, you'll go right back to the live stream. And there you are. So very, very seamless experience. This is now relatively easy because this is the desktop, maybe something that you already have in place. What I want to now show you is the same technique running on mobile devices. So again, this is the Primetime Packager creating HDS as output. and then sending it, also creating HLS as output, and then sending it, let's say, to the CDN for distribution. So now let's look at this application. There's a pre-roll configured here, so you first see a pre-roll. But I'm going to, once the pre-roll is over, I'm going to inject an add queue point. So there's the stream, and now I'm going to go into the application. I'm going to inject another add break here, and if you wait just a moment, you'll see this add break show up here instantly. And there it is. There's the ad, seamless again. And it requires a Primetime player on iOS, but that's something you can easily embed into your native application. So it's an easy component just to upgrade your app. And there we are. We're back to the live stream. Very cool. And now I want to show you also the same thing running on Android. So this is my Android device here running Primetime Player. In this case, Primetime Player comes with its own video stack. So this is not the HLS that you'll see or that you have natively on the device. This is really HLS that is built as part of Primetime, integrates very similar to what FlashPlayer did in the past, natively with all the devices and all the chipsets. And there we are, we're back to the live stream. So a very seamless experience, something that you can relatively easy deploy. And what's really cool is you can use the red button interfaces that you've built and maintained for desktop and just expand it to mobile. And with the new Primetime component, that becomes extremely easy.